You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean.
Welcome to the AfterBuzz Rewind, or the Game Control Rewind show for
Remember me, and you forgot?
Yeah. So this week we're going to be talking about Don't Nod and Capcom's Remember Me. Now this might be a game that some of you missed, but for those of you who are fortunate enough to pick it up, it's actually a pretty shockingly good game, brand new IP.
Yep.
And Don't Nod's first game.
Right, exactly. Talk about the controversy of them trying to...
Before we get into it, we'll talk a little bit about the controversy.
A little history.
Don't Nod and their executives said that they had trouble finding a publisher in the first place because the protagonist was a female. We don't know if that... It's hard to gauge whether or not that was actually the case because, you know...
Who really knows? It's just rumors here and there, but...
They just had generally had a problem finding a publisher because of the way the game played.
Right.
And they could have said, like, oh, someone's, discriminating against us because we have a female lead. This game is actually very proactive in that fact that, like, the female lead is a strong and empowered female lead.
Yep.
She is a...
She's tough, she's emotional, she's... I'm trying to think of like anything else I could say. Like I didn't feel like she's
part of a multiracial family as well. So
right.
It's not.
Exactly.
It deals a lot with immigration and class society as well.
Yep.
So like this game kind of hits on
and dives a little bit about human society. It's like our happiness, our pain, all that stuff, and kind of like
it deals with enough hot button issues that they probably would have had a problem finding a publisher regardless of whether or not the female protagonist.
But luckily Capcom did it, so Capcom, good job.
Yeah, very good job. Okay,
good guy.
So we'll get started on this. You play as Nellen, who is a memory hunter.
Yep.
Now, what she does, like her ability specifically is like, in this world, people have the ability to keep track of their memories, erase bad memories because of a company called Memorize.
Right.
Now there's a piece of hardware built into people's heads now called a Sensen. That piece of hardware backs up people's memories, and it provides an interface in the world for people to interface with like technology, like heads-up displays. Really cool.
Exactly.
The world is displayed in a way that's very Deus Ex, very like alternate reality.
Sci-fi. That's sort of just like of society in the future, and you get a sense of that, a little bit of it. But it's great because with that technology, like let's just say you got your girlfriend broke up with you and you're devastated. You can get rid of that memory and have it where you broke up with her and then you were, amazing and you felt great. And then you would continue going your life thinking like that rather than feeling depressed.
Or you went down to the Champs-Élysées and you noticed that the burger stores that you really loved is closed, and you can just like wipe that memory.
You can wipe that memory out and say, you know what? I never even liked that place in the first place.
Yeah,
so
it's gone. I get rid of the entire store from my memory.
Exactly. So everybody's a part of this in a way.
So anyway, Nilin, she has the power to jack into people's memories and remix them. So she's been used as kind of like a mercenary. She's a for-hire person who goes in and like some people, like she'll steal memories, she'll like steal personal information.
Right.
Usually, she's not a morally ambiguous character. She does things for the greater good, and she usually targets people. We don't know her complete and total backstory, but she targets people that are bad or have some kind of bad past. She's lost her memory. She wakes up inside the corporation, and the corporation has basically turned Bastille Fortress into a prison where people who have committed, damnable acts are reconditioned. Part of that reconditioning, they wipe portions or all of your memories. So Nilin wakes up with no recollection of who she is, who her family is, her friends, all that stuff. So a mysterious person helps her break out of the facility and then slowly...
Edge.
he slowly helps her regain her memory, but the entire game she has to judge whether or not, or she has to like grapple with whether or not she'll trust the people that are like
telling her what to do,
with
like
her,
you got to do
telling her what
this.
to do.
And that's what I felt too while playing the game, is that throughout the story, when Edge, the person who's talking to you, trying to like, oh, you need to do this for the greater good, and I'm like,
yeah,
there's a little back of me, I'm like, who are you? Like, I woke up with no memory, and you just come here and didn't tell me what to do. And as much as like he gets you out of situations, and you feel it's like this, I don't know, like this bad itch you have in the back of your mind, saying to yourself like, this guy, something's weird about it.
So
I know
for some reason it has to do with for me it was the handles. Like his name is Edge, and like he never really gave me his first name. It's like it was
right.
It was like
it's just like, don't know me too much, and it's just like
there was a facade there that
you.
most other games would have hidden a bad character or a character that was misleading you behind.
Right.
So anyway, Nilin, she can use her powers in the real world. She doesn't have to get onto the internet in order to jack into somebody's head. You've seen like right away you see that in order for her to defeat particular enemies, she'll just like she'll reach into their mind
and then just like memory overload,
blast.
And it's like a shotgun blast that comes out of their in their head, but it's not bloody.
Graphic.
It's just like data. It's like data memory, just like pixelate. Like if you got like a bunch of pictures and you just went, and you just threw it out there. That's what it looks like in a bit.
But you're meant to assume that mind is screwed.
Yeah,
like
it's done, and that's what's so like kind of brutal about it. I don't know. It's just like that inner damage that you do to them. It's just like because they. When you plug it in, they're like, and then goosh out of the front head. So it's really like, whoa, that's crazy.
The game is actually okay. The way you play it is, as you're running around, as you escape the facility, you're going to start using punches and kicks in a combination. Now that part of the game is actually relatively simple. You really only do have 2 attacks. Other than that, you can string those attacks together into combos.
Right.
The combos stack onto each other, so it's like a particular a form or a combination of those punch kick
will have a certain like status effect to it, right?
And we're talking about combos that end up getting to be like 12 hits long.
Right.
So if the status effects as well. You can you can add on status.
So like
effects.
certain combos you string together, certain like buttons that you put into your combo will heal you, right? So if you do X, Y, Y, do it successfully, you get healed
on each of those. So X will hit one, and Y will hit one.
Right.
The first one.
But you can change that around, and maybe it's X, X, Y, and that will do more damage.
Yeah, and you can only open up one effect at each level as you upgrade. So there are levels to be considered as not.
Yeah, you can progress through there.
You can end up with a very different character playing through the game twice as opposed to like the first time that you played through it. In fact, the second time I did play through it, I put all my points into something completely different. I tried to get more like stasis effects.
Right.
Like
so it recharges faster and get that stuff. Right.
Yeah. So basically, Nilin's job will be to get her memories back, but also she's running kind of like these side missions for Edge. Unbeknownst to her, like the side missions are basically what she was trying to accomplish as a memory hunter in the first place. She ends up breaking into Memorize in order to retrieve her real memories. She ends up finding out the CEO of Memorize is her mother, Celia Cartier-Wells.
That was an interesting point because I didn't notice that when I first went through it, and I went through the memory. And then I was just like, "Oh my god!"
We have to there's at certain points in the game you also have to remix key people's memories. So there's a doctor that you have to remix, and you have to convince that like.
Oh, it was the mercenary. It was the mercenary that the remix, right?
The husband of the wife who's with the doctor and all that.
Right.
Basically, Nilin can remix people's memories to make them think also that they did something differently.
Exactly,
than the way they
like
first did
what we were talking about before. You can remix it where you thought you were like, "Oh, I never liked that place, that burger place."
So there's 5 situations which you can remix the story in the game, and I really felt like this was underutilized because it probably could have done it like 7 or 8 or maybe more.
Definitely, because that was the strongest point throughout the game. I really felt that was an interesting way of
you flow around
like a movie.
You change the time. You actually rotate the right analog stick and
and if it
like using a controller
vibrates, there's something you can do to change or
you can do a lot of different stuff. Like at the end of the game, you're required to remix a very important portion, a moment in Nilin's own life where she's traveling in the car with her mother.
Right, but
it's just like it took me 30, maybe 40 minutes to figure
get
out
it
the
right,
proper
right. It's like a little puzzle
orientation.
game in
There's
a
so
way.
many things that you can change in these people's memories, and not all of them need to be changed.
Right.
That you can actually you can come up short when trying to do these.
Exactly, and that's the thing is like, that potential of having that sort of technology, a game mechanic, is to remix memories. I mean, that's what she does, and I feel like we didn't do that much of it. So I really felt like that was something maybe they just didn't have maybe the budget to add more, to really put in more situations where she can remix people's minds.
The game is beautiful though, honestly.
Yeah, the art's great.
There were points where I stopped over and over again. When I finished this game, I ended up with probably about 1,000 screenshots as I was reviewing it.
Even in the game, they kind of set you up to be like, she climbs over and you see the city and they want you to look at it, and it's great.
What did you think about the boss battles?
Beautiful.
Because they were a little bit different. They offered a little bit of a respite from, like the regular fighting. Like you just punch, kick, punch, kick, punch, kick. Like you kind of had to guard yourself.
Yeah,
a little bit differently.
A little bit. After I found out like how to defeat that one, the big robot that like screams out.
Oh yeah.
That was sort of like a mini boss, I guess, a boss. I didn't really feel like I.
When you encounter 2 or 3 of them at once.
Yeah. See, that's why I feel like those were. I don't know. That's when you say boss battles. I was like, do I even remember them? Because I really don't. Maybe someone remixed my mind.
Well, there's the kid.
No,
there's the kid. The first, like the dude who is like his own TV show where he's also a memory hunter. He's more of a bounty hunter. He is he's a morally unambiguous character. Like he's bad.
Right.
Like, he goes after his targets.
That's true.
Like,
I remember that. There we go. I remember that
one. The entire arena changes. Like he has access. Okay, so one of the first bosses you fight, he changes the entire world around you.
Yeah.
To make it an arena.
Right.
So like it shows.
And he's very like a TV host.
He is like hooked in to the world so well that he can basically invade your mind to create the world around you
ring.
That's a wrestling ring.
Yeah,
and then turns it into like this broadcast
and actually,
show
you know what?
people
I like
can
that.
watch.
I actually like that boss battle. But then afterwards, I felt like I didn't see anything else like that, because the other one was a sergeant who was in a helicopter.
Yeah.
And you were just dodging him until you went up to the helicopter, and then he's done.
Yeah.
I really didn't feel like there was another moment like that, and so again, it was something where it wasn't like, again, I couldn't remember really of that boss battle.
The final boss battle when you're fighting.
Yeah, that's true. That's another one. But again, that was another one where I felt. Oh, and
it wasn't a Metal
lady.
Gear it wasn't a Metal Gear, if that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
like,
it just didn't seem
like consistent the entire way through. There were bookends. There were like those two boss battles do a better job of like painting the entire game than anything that I experienced in between. And it was a long game. Someone was mentioning in the chat that it's close to 20 hours.
20 hours?
I spent about 17.
I think it was like
16?
15, I think, or 16. Maybe it was put on hard.
Then again, I played it twice and I stopped a hell of a lot. I stopped and took, like I said, like nearly 1,200 screenshots as I was playing.
Right. And getting back on the boss battles, there was the lady who was in charge of the prison, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that was another interesting boss battle, but it just wasn't. I don't know, just not as measurable as the other, maybe the first one. But it was something where I just felt like, again, it had potential. It was a really good idea, but it just didn't get all the way. It didn't hit that goal.
One of the things that I actually didn't like about it, and this is like, this hit me pretty hard because like it's right out there and it's really noticeable, is like the levels are designed in a very like contained way.
Yes.
Meaning when I was about to when the game was about to throw a wave of enemies at me, I literally stepped down off of a platform into a trench, an arena if you will, that was eventually just flooded with enemies.
Right.
And so there wasn't like this tact that like a game like Dead Space slowly presents you with an impassable object, or even BioShock for that matter, would put you into a trapped situation.
Right, not just
walk
rectangle
off a ramp
room and let's just drop enemies in there. I agree.
Borderlands does that too. Like they'll have you walk in and it's like every boss that you end up fighting in Borderlands
a big arena.
Sticks you into an arena that you walk in under a trap, and the only way that you can get out of the arena is if you die or defeat the boss.
Right.
Borderlands, I think, is allowed to do that because it's not a game that takes itself too seriously. There's no joking and remember me. It's a game that takes itself
Borderlands 2 is very just kind of like bigger, badder. Let's just get crazy with this. Guns. So having an
no
arena
guns in this game,
with,
by the way.
Yeah, it's true. There's no guns, but do they have guns? I forgot I think they did, right? Or maybe not.
No.
God, it seems like somebody remixed my memory.
the ones that throw the stasis at you.
There it is. Right. That was what. Yeah, because I remember there was some sort of projectile enemy.
This is a punch. This is a punch and kick game.
This is a kick you and then press B and then boosh.
But that brings me to another thing that I really liked about the game, and I think a lot of people didn't notice. Like it took me a couple of hours to even notice this was happening. Is that the game actually has an amazing soundtrack. Yeah. On top of that, as you're fighting, different pieces of the music will be basically charged off as you punch or kick, and it's kind of like how well you're fighting decides how good the music actually sounds.
Yeah, the music is sort of like a, it's not dubstep, I would even say, but it's like a techno, but with glitchy sound in there.
Glitch
remix.
Techno.
Like this is what the sound designer.
There's a subgenre called glitch, I believe. I don't know.
Maybe, but he was going with something like that, combining two things together to make it seem like a remix sci-fi techno sort of thing. So yeah, so when you're battling and you get hit, there's maybe a little like glitch. It's like like your own memory is getting wiped out. That sort of stuff. So very interesting and pleasant sound design on that. I was very impressed on that. But one thing I had a problem with was the platform, and the platform was too easy. It was go here with the arrow, and didn't really make me feel like, oh, I can't make that jump, or I don't know. That
it wasn't Mirror's Edge.
Although
it did highlight it.
Uncharted had a lot of platform. You were looking like, I can't make that, and then you would try, and then it would be so close, and then you would fall, and then you're like, oh my god.
There's a point in the game where you have to go across a transitioning billboard, and if the billboard transitions as you're walking across in a particular area, it'll knock you off.
Right.
It took me forever to get past that because I was like trying to figure out the timing for the billboard. It was just like one of those impassable. It was like somebody came up with the idea in their head and it wasn't designed or it wasn't played enough to really make it seem as like realistic.
Yeah,
or at the very least like as dynamic.
You could say that was the only challenging part because other than that, it was just like
and
arrow
gates.
Here, jump, arrow there, jump, and
honestly, they're
gates.
They're not death traps. They're not like things that are impassable.
They're just like,
it's just
you fall and then you get back and you got to go back up again. So it felt, again, you have this sort of like, it doesn't make me feel excited for it. I'm like, oh, I'm just tapping A because I'm like, okay, go there, trying to get through it as fast as I can.
Very much.
But maybe it's because of how it was designed. Maybe it would cause the user really hard to know where am I supposed to go. So they really are like,
everything was highlighted though.
Let's just make it arrow, so it makes them not frustrated, and that's what I hate about it.
Never had a problem knowing where to go. I think if the arrows were not there, maybe, but that's getting at a stretch. For me, the problem another problem that I had with the game, or the biggest problem, would probably be that the design quality varies drastically. When you actually get out of the sewer and you have to fight the first one of those creatures that can actually like shock you and like can disable you, and then jumps on top of you, that entire area, that muddy sewery area, looked like something off of a Nintendo 64. Like the quality of the level and the ground. But then when you get back into the city, it's like
very
this
beautiful.
is a game that can compete in certain areas with a AAA title like Deus Ex. And for Don't Nod to come out with that right out of the gate, and they're just like, heck, we're going to produce this. And that speaks to something that we were talking about just before we started, is like they produced this and then looked for a developer. Like we heard about them looking for a producer, distributor.
Exactly.
We heard about them looking for a producer and having troubles with producers not actually liking the female protagonist a couple months before they released the game. So it wasn't like a year or two. It wasn't like they were talking retroactively about the troubles that they had distributing the game. They were looking for a developer very close to the actual. Oh, sorry. They were looking for. I keep messing that up. They were looking for a producer, a distributor, really close to the release date. So they took a risk in developing this game, putting as much time and effort into this, and I think it paid off.
Definitely,
because it's a very good freshman title. It comes out and it's not like, oh, it's a so-so. It's like Don't Nod did a great job doing something that's very difficult to do.
Exactly. They took a risk, and that's what I was always saying, is like when there's a new IP, it's so hard to do that because it's like it's expensive, and you don't know if people even would care about it because it's not a franchise. They don't see it as like this could be a franchise.
It's not a
you know,
Commander Shepard.
Right, exactly.
This game did mix elements of Deus Ex and Mass Effect.
I mean, hopefully,
without the weapons,
hopefully it can become a franchise, and that's what we want. But when it's always like a new IP, it's people who are like, remember me? Oh, that game? Yeah, I never really heard about it and stuff because it's a new IP. Not many people are talking about it. But what really gets to me is that they took a chance, and it's something where they did really good on. But there was a lot of potential I want to see that there was a lot of potential I saw that I want to see just get better and better. So that's the sort of stuff I like to support on is people who take risks, and it's just like, it wasn't awesome, it wasn't amazing, but there was so much potential that we need more sci-fi kind of these like storytelling.
And that's what's sad too. I don't think they made enough money to justify saying like releasing out a DLC or something like that. But the character would benefit from like doing like, let's say, a side mission because that's another thing.
That'd be great.
That's another thing. Like you could actually do a lot of those missions for Nilin as like a self-contained mission. Like you can start it up.
Yeah, and it's just the also just like that we were talking about the level was that when you felt limited, right?
Yeah.
So even when I was exploring, like you walk through it, you see the robots, and she's like, "I'm in a hurry," and these AIs, and you're just like, "Whoa, this isn't."
I wanted to punch something like that. I was like, remix this.
But it was something where I wanted to explore more because it was an interesting world and how
that was
they
killer
painted.
because Paris was so intricately designed.
Yeah.
I wanted to run down this alleyway.
But you couldn't because it was just limited. And
Deus Ex Human Revolution did a little bit better, like showing that something was blocked off. There was, honestly, you could explore just as little space in Deus Ex as you could in Remember Me. Deus Ex just did it a little bit differently.
So you don't feel like, oh, I need to go out there.
Remember Me's trapping mechanism are walls that say "do not pass,"
and
gates
you're just
that
like
are closed.
You're like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's very kind of like I want to explore, and you're not giving that to me.
Yeah, and I would have honestly loved. I would have liked it if they had dropped some of the levels that I thought were like I said, there is a design discrepancy between that muddy sewer level and what was experienced in the city. I would have rather them expand.
Again, it's just that potential where you're like, this is good, but it's not great, and I want to see more because it's so good that you want it to get to that certain level of awesomeness.
Let's talk about the story, though. Because,
let's talk about the story.
We find out pretty early that, or not pretty early, but we do find out post haste that Celia Carte-Wells is Nilin's mother.
Right.
We don't quite know who her father is. We do hear his voice on the car.
Yep.
Since Nilin doesn't have her memories, they're able to keep quite a lot from the story from you because it's not like the character has an inner monologue going like, "Oh, that's Dad."
Yeah, it's like my dad is right over there.
So you hear his voice in the car because you remix the car the crash scene with her mother.
So instead of the mother blaming you, she blames herself. Because she spilled the coffee and it's all her fault. And she's like, "Don't worry, it's my bad."
You remix the mother's memory of the car scene, but I think
here's the thing: the father
twice now.
Yeah, the father remixed your memory of the crash scene.
This is what spawned this whole. Apparently, the father tested on his daughter
because he was he's the one who created this technology.
Created the sensei.
Yeah, the sensei. And
anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So anyway, you don't know who the father is throughout the entire story. They keep those revelations behind closed walls. So when you get to memorize, you don't necessarily know that that's your mom. You have to remix. You have to remix her memory you're like, on the fly as she's battling you. So at first you're fighting your mom and you're fighting against your mom's forces and your mom's minions and all that stuff. And then you have to remix her memory.
Right. And that's the thing. When I came up, I was like, oh, I'm going to remix this. Yes, this lady, screw her.
Yeah.
I felt this very get ready.
Mom.
I'm going to change
There's some qualms about
and then when she said, Mom, I was just like, oh crap, I just remixed my own mom. It's like, oh no. But now she loves me, so it's all good.
The mom tells you, you have to go to Memorize HQ.
Right.
You have to disable the main server. Your memories are locked behind this server, which your dad no, she didn't even mention that it's your dad at that point. So you have to go and destroy the main server where all this information is hidden.
Right.
Basically, the world also also has the I completely forgot about the leapers or leechers.
I think it was the leechers.
Leapers. Yeah. So there are these emaciated people who have been transformed due to their over-abuse of the sense
Technology,
and technology.
right. So they're all like shriveled and they're like, yes, memories.
So you have to fight robots in the game, but you also fight these people who have been emaciated by the technology.
Right.
They kind of are like lepers. That's why.
Lepers?
They're like diseased people who have lost a significant portion of their memories and reverted to like this animalistic.
Right. This
instinct.
tribe thing that's sort of like it's like the basic memory of an animal, I guess. I don't know.
Some of them just hit you. Some of them can turn invisible. Some of them have this psionic ability because the Sensec technology has given them like not heroic abilities, but definitely non-human abilities.
Yeah, exactly.
So they can like hit you
Disrupt
with
you,
psychic
and
attacks and all that stuff. Anyway, the reason I even mentioned that is because you have to fight a number of them, and the reason that you actually a justification for Nilin going and even wanting to free people's memories is hopefully it'll bring some closure to the city, which is basically divided between people who are hurt by the technology and people that are helped by the technology.
And you can see that. You can see that really well. They paint that pretty solid.
There's two different places.
There's two different places. We need to, revolt and have this be equal and
this
heal the
game
world.
is very interconnected. It was like you're reaching back to the beginning and what you experienced at the beginning in your solution at the end of the game. So anyway, you break into Memorize to try and beat this server.
Right.
So after you beat the server, you end up finding out that the creator of the Sensec technology is actually your father.
Your father, right.
So your father is alive. Your dad created the technology that rules the world. Your mom created the service that rules the world. So, and they haven't spoken to each other ever since the car crash because one of them blames the other person, and basically the entire family has been broken up. Your daughter has turned into a rebel mercenary. And
this is a dysfunctional family.
It's a severely dysfunctional family, but luckily Nilin has Nilin has the ability to remix everybody's memories, which is kind of a cop-out, I think, because like if you think about the way that what really happened in the world, you shouldn't have blamed each other, and you shouldn't have like had like the negativity in the family in the first place.
Exactly.
Remixing the memories is what led to this problem in the first place.
Exactly. And so there's one more remix where you have to remix a remix of a remix. I think, right? It was like remix. You dive into his memory, which his memory is
your memory being remixed.
But then you go deeper in there of him remixing yours, and you have to remix him, and you see him, and it's a great scene. He seems all giant,
pretty emotional,
and he's remixing stuff as you're remixing stuff. So it's like this battle of remixing. I've probably said like 100 times remixing.
Remixing.
Hey there, DJ, playing my favorite song.
Brown. John Quick, everybody.
That's probably my one and only time chiming in.
I love it when you chime in. I love it.
What did you think about the ending, though?
Was
it good enough? Did it feel heavy-handed?
I like it. It was kind of like saying, because it was like, it was like the teddy bear, right? I was your friend all this long, and all the bad memory was going to me, and I don't like it. Kill me. Sort of like this almost AI that's so smart of collecting.
Oh yeah, she has a teddy bear, which is like an artificial intelligence, which is
connected through the server. That's how they kind of. It communicates through it, right?
I didn't get that.
I think that's how it is.
Was the teddy bear the server, basically?
I think it was connecting through her through the teddy bear.
The artificial. Okay, yeah. This is
because that's her memory. That's her memory.
There's a lot of stuff that isn't explained until the very moment that it happens, and even then, it's not necessarily explained all that well. I played it through it 1.5 times, meaning I got about halfway through it the second time, and I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm still not getting anything out of this that I didn't.
I think it was the server that was going through the teddy bear when you were a young age.
The server had basically reached a point of omniscience.
Yeah, he was just like
it was deciding whether or not to do things a certain way,
right?
To house people's memories, to decide whether or not a person was an offender.
But I think it was also just like it was him collecting all the worst things of human.
Yeah,
like
and he's dealing with like the humanity's shit, and it turns him into a vindictive person.
Exactly, and it makes him really feel like he's just like, I don't want to live anymore. It's like it's so painful to see all this and nothing but that. Nobody remixes a happy moment, not like a moment you're like, that was great, I'm gonna get rid of it and send it off. No, humans want to get rid of course, the dark in the sadness. in our memories. So he's getting collected all on that server and seeing all that. Eventually, he gets to the point where he goes, "You got to kill me," even though you still got to battle with me. And
which is the strongest point of the game. That boss battle is very strong.
Right. It was a very interesting battle, but it was kind of still that
stepping into this that's one of the things.
It was still
that
kind of like throw enemy
successful.
Waves, I defeat that, and then hit certain stuff. So it wasn't, I would say, unique, but it was definitely
not unique.
It was definitely an interesting boss battle, but I don't think it was
what's the one word you could describe the visual aspects of the game?
Computer? I don't know.
Digital?
I don't know. It was very it was like blocks and pieces and data. It was like that sort of stuff.
It was very
like
geometric.
Yeah,
fighting,
there we go. Geometric.
H3O was it?
Yeah.
H3.
Yeah, I thought it was H3O.
H3O, yeah. H3O and Edge. Edge is basically H3O. That's another thing. Like
that's the whole twist.
The whole reason that you don't see Edge and the fact that he has a handle throughout the entire game is the guy that's been guiding you through the game and has been dealing with and helping you reach a point of realization is actually that artificial intelligence which is in charge of keeping track of everybody's memories.
Right. And so, whoa! It's crazy, but it was very emotional of just seeing him like, you got to kill me, like a boss that says like, I want to die, kill me, you know?
That's what it was.
Right.
He was like,
that's what I felt so new about
conflicted.
Yeah, because it was like usually in regular games a boss is like, you can't defeat me, I'll never die, you know? And then you have to defeat him.
They've been dealing a lot with that. Like in
this
BioShock,
one is more of like
in BioShock. Like the character.
A man chooses a slave obeys.
They had the characters.
Somebody gets beat to death at the golf club.
Exactly.
Would you kindly?
Would you kindly?
They're the conflicted villains, the conflicted heroes. Like they themselves are not completely bad, not completely good.
It didn't just seem like this mastermind who's like, yes, I developed this technology to rule the
it's
world.
Not a Bond villain. He's not two-dimensional.
And that's what I liked about it too. And it was
him being a computer to begin with.
And that's sort of like, you know what? Us, like in this society, it's like even though we hate feeling sad and feeling the pain of bad memories, we need that. You know,
I think that was the message.
That was the clear message. Is like that's how the world needs to operate. That sort of good and balanced. You need that. We need to feel happy. We need to feel sad. So the lights are going. I think we just got remixed. So I love this game. It's all good.
So one word to describe the visual stuff. Did you like it? Do you think that Don't Nod can actually go forward with this as a franchise? Can they do another one? Would you like to see her in another?
Yeah, it's kind of hard. It's like where do you go from here, right? You got
me twice.
Your server's done. It's out there. I would like to see a sequel because I think it's just so cool. The remix.
The server's gone, but the technology's still there. She could still do her. She could still do her her career as a memory hunter is still a valid career. It's just that they're not like housing and stealing people's memories anymore with the defeat of H3O.
Yeah, just because she don't have no turntables doesn't mean she can't remix it.
So we should have like a count bar, a word count, just how many times we said remix. Or remixes.
No, we'll do it next time.
We'll do it next time. We'll edit it. We'll probably do that, right, John?
No.
Do it in post.
It's going out exactly as it is.
So do you think they could do another one? I think they could, honestly.
Here's the thing.
Word is that they're working on a different IP now.
See, here's the thing. I want a number 2, but I know that's probably not what they're going to do because, again, I feel like even though it's just like they put out that message, they delivered their theory, it's kind of like, let's move on to the next thing. And I want to see their next game that they can do. Hopefully it's a sci-fi sort of element.
I want to see Nilin. I want to see some of these companies get Nilin or, like the protagonist from Mirror's Edge or get in the people from like Mass Effect because or even Deus Ex because these games are so closely related. Like there's alternate reality. I mean, that same like Omni-Tool thing has appeared in like 3 games now. 3 separate titles, mind you.
It's the future. We'll have that soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting mine.
So overall, what did you think about the game?
I actually liked it quite a bit. I'm looking forward to whatever Don't Nod does next. It's a solid game. When I reviewed it back in, when was this? I reviewed it back in 06/28, so in June. I gave it an 80, and I actually still think that it's like an 80 out of 100. It's it's a B. I would say it's more of a solid B plus. It's a very strong game for a game company that's producing. I mean, obviously these people worked on other titles before they ended up coming to Don't Nod and working on there, but it really proves that you don't have to be in America, you don't have to be in Japan, North America to make a really emotional, strong game. Canada, for that matter. We've seen this year with Metro Last Light and Remember Me. Yes. We've seen with Metro Last Light and Remember Me and a couple of other prominent games that have come out on Xbox, PlayStation, that you can look to other places and other companies to come out with really amazing titles that you should play. And you should play Remember Me.
Yeah,
by the way.
you should. If we didn't just spoil everything for you, you should still play it, though.
Yeah.
You should still.
Go ahead and play it. Go ahead and try it out.
Or play it again if you want. But I think overall, for my final thoughts, is that this is I kind of agree. I think I would probably give it an 80. I think it wasn't horrible. If you want something new to play as like a story and a setting,
unique.
It's very unique. It's not your typical sort of like sci-fi game. It really dives in a very really cool way that makes you want to go more about this world. Like it just wants you to I wish I had that.
One last thing
One last thing
before we wrap this up. I played on the Xbox.
Okay.
So it came out for PC and PS3.
I played
as
on
well.
PC.
What about that dude who's always walking around in the armor, the helicopter pilot?
That's what I was talking
Did you
about.
notice his freaking hair? This guy has I can't remember if he's supposed to have red hair. Like he has brown eyebrows and he has like blonde hair coming down. Like I thought he was wearing a wig the entire freaking time, and then he takes off the helmet. I was like, that is something that the game didn't quite get. Like not every character was given the same attention to detail as Dylan and her parents were.
Yeah, some of the details of I was like, is that the same dude?
They had great piecemeal. That's what it is. It's like somebody was in charge of doing the character model, and somebody else was in charge of doing the armor and all that stuff. It seemed very put together by a team that not everybody was on the same technical capability as everybody else on the team.
But
still overall good.
Just to wrap it up, just like it's new, it has potential. It's not amazing. You're probably not going to love the combat too much.
This is not a game you're going to pick up because you want to. It's going to be a game that you pick up because a friend recommends it.
Yeah, because not that many.
I kept recommending it to people, so definitely go and check it out.
Kind of reminds me of Mark of Cree.
Yeah,
because it's like I never heard of Mark of Creed, but something like if you guys suggested that, I'm like, yeah, I'll play it, and then you find out this is great. Why wasn't this advertised? And that's the sort of stuff. It's like when it's unique and new, you're taking a risk, and a lot of companies don't want to do that because it's expensive, and you might not get that profit. It's not safe,
and it's inexpensive now too. It's not like a $50 to $60.
Yeah, it's not.
So go ahead, check it out. That's it for Game Control Rewind 4.
Hooray!
Remember me. Next week, Dave, myself, and I'm not going to be here next week, but we are going to do The Walking Dead.
I thought it was Fuse.
Fuse next week? Is it Fuse next week? John, which one is it?
Why are you asking me? I wasn't in the decision-making process. You want me to lead out the door and yell at Dave?
Somebody
do you like Fuse? Do you like Fuse? Do you like The Walking Dead? We're going to do one of them next week.
Somebody remix our memory.
Guaranteed. Hold on one second.
He's checking on it.
He's checking on it.
Wait, Game Control. Check Game Control Rewind on Twitter.
Guys. Okay, Walking Dead.
Okay.
I thought he said Fuse.
Next week we're doing The Walking Dead. Telltale Games, amazing hit. I'm not going to be here, but Dave,
Rachel, I don't know if
we're going to get some more people. If you like Dave and Rachel, they played Walking Dead. They love Walking Dead. Join us next week for Game Control Rewind after Game Control Live. Check us out on Twitter at Game Control Rewind.
And you can check me out at the Donell Zone. Donell Tucker. I'm always horrible at it. At the Donell Zone.
And you can find me on Twitter at GAK, and I ramble a whole hell of a lot. So
he does. Can't stop him.
All right, and going out to some very, very. It kind of sounds a little.
I'm telling you, the music for this game is amazing.
Very good.
See, it's like
pick up this game solely for the music.
Yeah, it's like. And then it's like remixed it's really great.
All right. Well,
it's a glitchy.
I think
worth it.
I think that's it for us.
Yep.
Congrats. All right. Thank you for joining us, people.
See ya.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch and listen to our after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Woodward.